Hi guys, and happy Book Smart Saturday. I'm having to refilm my little Book Smart Saturday this week because I actually somehow deleted the one that I recorded earlier, but I haven't shown anybody yet, but I cut my hair. I think it's nice. I really like it so far. I've always had my hair like extremely long, and it was long enough to be able to donate. I donated 11 inches, so it's going to a really great cause, but I'm really liking my hair right now. I think it looks nice. But on to more pressing matters. I've been reading Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde with my boyfriend. This is a really great classic novel. If you've not ever heard of it, it's about basically a man who takes a potion and ends up turning himself into an alter ego called Mr. Hyde, where he goes and does like things that wouldn't be acceptable around town, as if he had his more prominent title, which has a good name wrapped to it, of Dr. Jekyll. So, in the beginning of the story, it starts out with a conversation between Mr. Utterson, which is a friend of Dr. Jekyll's from childhood, and he talks to a gentleman called Mr. Enfield, who is not really accepted by the town. He's kind of an outcast. People just basically find him weird. So he talks to him, and Mr. Enfield ends up telling him the story of like one night he's going down one of the alleys, and he sees this girl crossing the alley, and in the middle of the alley, the girl ends up coming across this gentleman, and the gentleman comes up to her and basically like stomps her out and like hurts her, and she ends up on the ground. So of course he gets very upset because this girl has ended up being hurt. So a lot of the townspeople end up coming out, and they all rally, and they're like, you can't be doing this kind of behavior to the man. And he's like, all right, I'll pay like a fee like to get her like medical covered, basically. So they're all going off and trying to get the money so that he can like basically pay them off, like to not have trouble anymore because of the little girl that he like hurt. But then they pop the question of like so he writes them a check, okay? So, and then it comes up and they're like, how do we know if this is legitimate? And he's like, don't worry, I know it's legitimate. I'll walk you to the bank in the morning to help you like get the money. Because the check, they're like, wait, because his name doesn't match the name on the check, so they're like, not really sure if we trust you. So he ends up going off to the bank, or to the bank with them, and it's good. And then we go through Mr. Utterson being like, who is this person, and stuff like that. And he starts thinking of how he hasn't seen his friend Dr. Jekyll in a long time, and somehow all of a sudden this Mr. Hyde person has popped up, and Dr. Jekyll has arranged apparently a will which says that if he is ever to pass away, that Mr. Hyde is going to basically get all of his money and all of his status, and he'll take care of everything. So that everything's like taken care of because he doesn't have anybody else. And Mr. Utterson finds this like really weird, so he ends up getting very concerned about like what's going on and who's this Mr. Hyde person. So he goes off to another friend that they had from childhood, Mr. Utterson and Dr. Jekyll's friend, Mr. Lanyon, which is also a doctor in town. And they basically have a conversation where they're like, this is very odd, like we haven't seen our friend, who is this guy? And have, like basically a conversation of like, if we were, if we hadn't met him like as a childhood friend, like he's not the most wonderful person to be around Dr. Jekyll isn't, and we probably wouldn't be friends with him. So that tells you what type of person they view Dr. Jekyll as. So that's all that I've kind of gotten to in this story so far. I've read a chapter and I'm nearly done with the second chapter. I've been reading it with my boyfriend, so it's been really fun to read along. I keep saying a lot. Goodness, I'm gonna have to quit that. So this is like a really good read, but a lot of the vocabulary is a little bit higher grade. So I wouldn't recommend this to like younger readers, but if you're, if you got a pretty expansive vocabulary, then, this is a great read. It's very short. This book is a like a pocket edition, but like the first like little bit is basically like an introduction. And I'm not sure if let me check real fast. Yeah, the last little bit is like a bibliography and stuff like that. So it's got like some pages back there, but like it's a pretty small book. It kind of reminds me of if any of y'all have read The Invisible Man. It's kind of going off that. It reminds me in the story plot as well of that kind of thing, but we'll kind of see what happens. I don't know too much about this story. I'm kind of going in with like a little bit of knowledge, but not too much, because I don't like to be spoiled. But in The Invisible Man, he ended up taking a potion as well and making himself invisible, basically, and doing a bunch of ruckus, and like they ended up going after him like with the police and things like that. So I do look forward to seeing what happens, and if they catch on that Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde are the same person. So that'll be really fun to find out. But this is a really good read so far. I really like it. It is something that, like, because it's smaller, you kind of have to pay a lot more attention to like what's happening, because the plot develops a lot faster than if you have one of those longer books. The benefit of reading like a longer story is that they have more time to develop characters, plot setting, things like that, rising action, just all different things. Every single line in these small books matters. So if you miss something, you have to go back and read it, because it's so important to the plot. Like, every single word is so important, and I really value that. That shows just a quality piece of literature. Not that the longer books aren't quality pieces of literature, because you can do those the same way, but I've noticed with a lot of like the new writing and things like that, people do go at a slower pace than like some of these more classic pieces, which kind of like condense everything down for people that maybe don't want to spend as much time reading. But there are many books out there, different shapes, sizes, from different places, that are very good reads, and I hope to cover those in these random Book Smart Saturday editions. This isn't something that I'm going to do every week, but I do hope to post it like every so often, whenever I feel up to it. I don't want to put that pressure on me to post this every week along with the Plant Wednesday, because I think that would be a lot, since I'm doing other things outside of making videos. So I do hope you all enjoyed the Book Smart Saturday for this week. And I hope that my hair doesn't bother anybody. I know a lot of people are going to be upset because I cut my hair, but I really do like it, and I hope it looks nice to everybody else, and it isn't just me. But happy Book Smart Saturday, and I look forward to seeing you on Plant Wednesday this coming week. Bye, guys!